Hi there, welcome to my channel where I take you on tours of unique homes and showcase stories of people living alternatively. In today's episode, we're meeting a woman whose goal was to live debt-free, so she embraced a more minimalistic lifestyle. To start her journey, Erin downsized into a van which she built out herself.
This is a closet, bathroom, shower. It is an all-in-one.
And then, after saving up enough money, she upsized to a beautiful tiny home, which she plans to use for future retirement.
Moving into this house, I honestly feel like I'm living in a mansion in 300 square feet.
Erin will take us on a tour of both spaces and explain how she now has the best of both worlds.
We're up in the loft space. I've whacked my head coming up into the loft about 6 times.
But before we jump right in, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we publish a new unique home tour.
Will you join me? Will you roll? Make this house our tiny home.
Hi, I'm Erin, and this is my tiny, the Olive House. I decided to go tiny because I discovered that I don't need all the things that I had. I have 4 children and I now have 7 grandkids, and I've been living on my own now for 10 years, and I realized I had rooms in my house that I never went into, and it was seemingly ridiculous. I also decided that I wanted to live debt-free when I retired, so I set a plan in motion which allows me to spend my money on fun things instead of responsibility things. I decided to go with a tiny home on wheels because I wanted the option to buy property and move my tiny to my own space someday. I went with a company who had models of homes, and I selected a particular model and then made the revisions to it that I felt suited me. The tiny actually came with the cost of the oven, the appliances, the washer dryer. So once I did the upgrades, the changes that I wanted to do, all in, I was at about $102,000, which seems like a lot. But when you look at the cost of homes that you can't take with you anywhere, this is key. I love it. Living in Southern California, there aren't a lot of options right now for being able to park your tiny. And I did some research. I had seen some previous videos of interviews done here at the tiny house block, which is currently where I'm located. And I decided that I would come check it out. I came and looked around, met some of the people. Everyone was super kind and gracious. So I went ahead and started leasing my space before my tiny house was actually done, because I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I love being in the mountains. I love experiencing the seasons. I love that I'm just a short commute down to San Diego. I love that it's not far from where I work, and it enables me sort of the best of everything right now. So the size of my tiny is 32 feet front to back. It's 8.5 feet wide, and it's about 13 feet tall, and the square footage is right around 300. So this is the outside of my home, which is a little chaotic right now. We have lots of building material. I have big plans for a deck build out here. I had gotten quotes from a couple of contractors that were crazy high, and I just decided, as with anything else, I can do it myself. And what I don't know how to do, I can learn on YouTube. The color of my home is an olive green. I went and shopped for this color before I'd even selected the model of the tiny house that I was going to go with. I just loved this shade of green, and I thought it would go really nicely with anywhere that I live where there's beautiful grass, beautiful trees. So this was what I opted to go for. And I wanted black to be my contrasting color, which is why I selected the windows with the black exterior trim. And I just finished installing my skirting around the tiny home, which I also painted black to kind of hold everything together. Come on in. This is my living room space. This is my favorite space in the house, especially in the morning when I have a cup of coffee and I can open these windows and just enjoy the morning light. Another thing that I love in this space, I went ahead and made the shelves here above the windows so that I would be able to put more books and just some of the things that I've purchased vintage and from thrift stores. I just wanted everything in this space to be something that had already been used and already had a life behind it. It was important to me to have things that felt homey and cozy. So in this area, I have a mini split, which is great. It's for heat or cooling, which I love. I have this really big fan overhead, which is wonderful. It brings so much space, and even when I have the heater running, I use the fan because it helps circulate the air into the loft, which is great. The couches I did buy new because I had a really hard time finding something that was the right fit or had multiple uses to it. And these both, if you turn them around, they actually pull out into a small bed. I've slept on them, so it's fine for an adult, but great for grandkids. I have books all over. Everywhere I have books. One of my big things about being in this space is simplifying life and being able to have time to read. I really do enjoy reading, and I have a Kindle, but I like the smell and the feel of an actual book. So moving into my kitchen, I love my kitchen. I love having all of this in one area, and I like this big space here for being able to cook, chop food, whatever I want to do. I have floating shelves, and I wanted all of the dishes that I had procured through Facebook Marketplace, vintage stores. I wanted that all to be displayed. I didn't want things that necessarily match, so all my glasses are completely different. I have way more dishes than I need technically, but if I were to have all of my kids here at the same time, we would definitely have to move the get-together outdoors. There's 13 of us at this point, but I wanted to have plenty of dishes for when the kids came to visit. Another thing is the countertops. I did get to select the countertops that I wanted, and also the paint or the finish on the cabinetry. And originally I picked gray, but the builder made a mistake and installed white, but it was a happy mistake, which I was actually thankful for because I think that the white makes everything flow a little better as opposed to the gray that would have cut everything into little spaces. One of my favorite things about my kitchen is my huge tub sink. I actually selected this off of Amazon. It's a 30-inch sink and it's 10 inches deep. I have my chandelier here. Aesthetically, I'm in love with this chandelier. It doesn't work. I tried to fix it to make it work and almost electrocuted myself. But I love the chandelier. I think it just brings a little fancy to my cozy little tiny home. All of my cabinets have pullouts in them, which gives me double space, and it also makes it nice for me not to have to Tetris everything in and out of my cabinetry. I can just pull out the slide. This is my bathroom. Moving into this house, I honestly feel like I'm living in a mansion in 300 square feet. It's really great. I have a beautiful full-size shower, which I got to pick out the stone tiles, and I tied them into the backsplash that's in the kitchen because I wanted a little bit of a flow there. My favorite thing in here is a toilet. I actually have a flushing toilet that I do not have to clean, like I don't have to take anything out and dump or clean. I also have a stackable full-size washer and dryer, which has been wonderful. It's nice to be able to do laundry in your own space. I've been using my daughter's laundry, which has been great, but when you're a grown woman, it's nice to have your own space for all your things. The other thing is my backsplash and my countertop in here tie into what's in the kitchen, and I really wanted a vessel sink. I've always really enjoyed the aesthetics of these, so I finally got one. I wanted a medicine cabinet, So I had them go ahead and do the cutout in the wall so that I could actually have my mirror and a place to put my everyday use things, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that. I have a dehumidifier in here. I didn't realize how important the dehumidifiers were, but some of my neighbors were telling me, especially in the winter time, it's really important to have that, because when you have your heat inside and the cold outside, the condensation can build up, especially because I'm on a metal trailer and that tends to be a thing. Who knew? I didn't. So I got dehumidifiers for every room. This is my bedroom. I opted to go with a twin bed. Originally, I thought that I would have a double bed in here, but once the house was built and I walked into this space, I would have literally had no space to walk around. So this is the final iteration of where I put my twin bed. I had it coming out of this space, which is actually my closet. But originally I wasn't going to use that as a closet. I was going to have the twin bed coming out, but nothing was just jiving. It wasn't working, so I decided to put the bed here, which actually worked out well. I have a mini split in here as well, and it's nice to have the air or the heat blowing over the top of me as opposed to blowing on me. I really am glad it ended up this way. I found this dresser on Facebook Marketplace, and I was prepared to find the dresser that I loved and have all kinds of work to do on that dresser, but this came perfect, and it had the gold knobs, which I absolutely love. It kind of ties everything together. My TV, originally I was only going to have a TV in my bedroom and not in the living room. Who was I kidding? I don't know if you noticed, but I have a TV in the living room. But this is bumped out in the wall. I love that this isn't protruding out into the room and taking up space. So this is my beautiful staircase up into the loft. I have all of my steps loaded with books, and all of these books are secondhand. One of my favorite things to do when I go to a thrift store or a vintage store is to look at the books. I took the paper covers off all the books, so not only did I want the title to be something that I was interested in reading, but I also wanted the cover of the books to be pretty and to kind of tie in and bring color to the space. They're all different genres of books. I think anybody who came to visit could probably find a book that they would enjoy reading when they were here. And then upstairs, my plan is to have all children's books up there, ages little babies where you're reading to your grandkids, all the way up to my oldest granddaughter who's 14, because I love reading, and most of them really enjoy reading as well. So that'll be their space up there. So we're up in the loft space, and as you can see, my head is touching the ceiling. I bought the shortest bed frames I could find. Then I have like 4-inch memory foam mattresses on those. This space is really for younger guests who come, younger than 60. There's a reason my bedroom is downstairs, but mostly this is for my grandkids. I want my grandkids here as often and as much as possible, so this is going to be their space. I've been in the tiny for about 4 months, and I'm just taking my time getting things ready. But I love this space. It's 14 feet deep, and I think this height here at this end is about 42 inches, and at the other end, because the roof on this is 2 different styles. This is a lean-to style, so that end is shorter. This end is a little bit higher. And then over the living room and half of the kitchen is the gabled roof. I chose that mostly because I liked the aesthetic of the transition. I really love the gable roof in the living room, which is something I had my heart set on. I've whacked my head coming up into the loft about 6 times, so I think the natural consequences of that now have made me aware, so I automatically duck at this point. I will say that 60-year-old knees are a lot different than 30-year-old knees or 4-year-old knees, so I do have a pair of knee pads tucked under the bed here so that when I come up in the loft I can slide those on and make my way across to the other side. starting on this path to tiny, I decided building out and moving into a van would be an interesting option for me. I get funny expressions from people when they say, where do you live? And I said, well, I currently live in my van. And they're like, oh gosh, you know, like they're sorry that I live in my van. And I'm like, no, it's a choice. This is a choice for me. It's not a have to. So I currently use the van when I don't want to make my commute. Let's say I have to be to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't want to drive the time that it takes to get to the office. So I stay in my van in my daughter's driveway. I get to spend time with my grandkids, all the great things. So this is my van. It is a Ford Transit 350. It's the medium high roof. If I were to do it again, I would go for the high roof. I self-built this van, started it about 4 years ago, and it took me about 14 months to build it out, having weekends to spend doing that. But this has been my home for 2.5 years until I moved into the tiny. This is my living space. I have a double bed in here. Again, I would go to a twin next time. I have lighting up front. I have cabinetry for my clothing. My dishes are in here. I have a nice deep stainless steel sink, which I love the deep sinks because you can hide dishes for a long time. I have an isotherm refrigerator, which is something I would spend the money on again. It's been great. And then I also have a propane stovetop or cooktop in here. The only things that I have that run on propane are this and my heater. This is a closet, bathroom, shower. It is an all-in-one, and I have the Nature's Head composting toilet in here. So this has been an awesome space for me to live while I was paying off debt. It's also been my home as I traveled across the United States a few times to visit one of my children in Virginia. It's everything I've needed, nothing I haven't needed. I did find it fascinating how quickly I accumulated more clothes though. Typical female, I think, clothes and shoes. So I've had to go through those once or twice to downsize again. But I have really enjoyed this space. I would still say that this is my favorite bed to sleep in. For anyone who's looking to go tiny, I think you need to just do it. Like whatever is holding you back, if it's finances, this is a much leaner way to live as far as your finances go. If it's fear, I had a lot of apprehensions. I'm pretty bold as an individual, like I put my mind on something and I'm gonna give it a try. But this was a big step from moving out of a home that I had lived in for 20 years to selling and giving away everything, building out a van, moving into that van so that I could pay off debt and save money to have my tiny house built. It was a huge step. But I also think that this is the way to go when you want to be able to move about and explore. It's so much less to take care of, and it's just the right amount of space. So if you're thinking about it, go for it. Just go for it. Enjoy it, have fun. Keep moving forward to what you want to do, and don't let other people's thoughts and opinions on what you're doing influence your decision, because everyone's going to give you advice. Everyone's going to tell you why you shouldn't do it. If it's in your heart and you want to do it, just full speed ahead.
Thanks for watching this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you soon with another unique home tour.